Okay, good afternoon, gents. As some of you may or may not know, I have disabled the comments. Maybe temporary, I don't know. I just want to see what happens, really. But I've just found that I'll tell you what I'll do. First of all, I'll just mention what happened. So a couple of days ago, as most of you probably know, I had a bunch of accounts. I had 4 PA accounts, and I ended up blowing them. Now, I had 2 rather large losses. 2. Let me just check everything's working okay. It's probably hard to know because I don't know how many people are watching. Well, okay, there are some. Let me have a look. Views. Okay, all right. I'm just assuming. Okay, I'm assuming people can. It's quite hard. I'll tell you what I'll do. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to allow the comments just for a minute or two. So allow all comments. I'm just going to allow them initially just for people to say hello. Hopefully. Let me just see where they are. No. Chat rate. Oh, I can't see the chat now. Let me have a look. Hold on 1 second. Can't see where the I have enabled the comments, but I'm going to disable them in a minute. I just can't see why they're not showing. Chat rate. No. Okay, bear me just 1 second. No, I can't see where the comments are anyway. They've sort of gone. Okay, let's assume you guys can hear me. Everything seems to be okay. What I think I'm going to do from tomorrow onwards, I can't see how to get the what's it's back. No, cancel. No, I can't see where to. Hold on a second. Allow comments. Okay, I've done that. Okay. I can't see where they're popping back up anyway. Let me just make it a bit smaller, see if that helps now. Okay. I have... okay. I'll tell you what. Let's leave it at that for now. Let me just leave it at that for now. Hold on a second. I've got a message. That might be someone saying we can hear you. Hold on a second. Can hear the stream. Brilliant. Okay. Sam, excellent. Okay. Let me just disable those comments again. Where are they? Okay, it's all right. I'll talk about that one trade in a minute. Okay. It doesn't matter anyway. I'll sort them out later. What I might do is just enable the comments initially for the first 5 minutes, just to say hello to everybody, and then I'll disable them. Okay, so what am I looking at the moment? Right, as most of you know, I blew my accounts. I had a 2 larger loss. I had 2 losses of a totaling around about, let me just adjust this, totaling around about $700. So we got leg down, but we're at the top here, so we've got to be careful. Totaling $700. Now, they were rather large bars. The ATR was quite high. It's been quite high the last week or so. They were rather large bars. And they just happened to be rather large losses. And I had a loss totaling $700. And it was just too much. It basically took a third of my profits. That's $700 times 4. It took a third of my profits. And it just did me in. I just never recovered. I just found it incredibly hard to fight the urge to not revenge trade. So one thing led to another, and there you go. But in all fairness, the most I've lost PA-wise in the past is one account. I've not lost 4, so as you can guess, it's quite painful, as a lot of you know. So I've just done a bit of soul searching over the last couple of days. I took yesterday off, and fortunately I had a new PA account starting today, and I think the key is just at the moment, just concentrate on this one. Hopefully over the Labour weekend we may get some decent, well, we should get some decent discounts, and I may just add one more to it. I might just concentrate on 1 or 2 for now and try to get them up to a level where I can earn a small amount of money a month, and then I can slowly start building some more where I don't need to think about trying to earn something. So what I've decided to do is, most of the days, if you look back over my videos, most of the time I tend to only do 1 trade a day. There's the odd day where I have nothing, so a lot of the time I have 1 trade anyway. And in all fairness, in the 6 weeks I've started, no, in the 6 to 8 weeks, or 6 to 9 weeks it took me to get those accounts up, I don't think I lost 2 trades in 1 day, so I don't often lose 2 trades in 1 day anyway. But I think the key is now 1 loss in a day and I've finished trading from the day. So, I don't know, the average bar is just over 2.5 points. So let's say realistically 1 risk would be 3 points, which is about $300. Now that's doable. I've just made 3 points on a trade there. So someone told me once, don't lose more in 1 day that you can't make in the next. And that 700 quid just had too much of an effect on me. So my new rule is 1 loss and I either finish or I go on to a sim. So obviously if I trade within the first 20-30 minutes, then I'll go on to a sim, because it's a shame really to waste a couple of hours of extra experience. At least that way I'm still trading. But if I do lose 1, I can walk away $300 down. And I'll be okay with that, but the $700 down just absolutely did me in. So there you go. So now the comments, I would say 98% of the comments are okay and they're good. But just now and again, you just get some negative stuff. Occasionally, if I jump into a trade, I've had it a couple of times. There was a guy, he doesn't come on the stream anymore, but I took a trade and he messaged straight away, oh, I wouldn't take that one, I'd get out, blah blah blah. So sometimes comments about particular trades can affect you, not so much in a nasty way but in a negative way to me. Once you read something, it's hard to read something, and not only that, sometimes people say stuff about you and you sort of know it happens, and that gets in your head. So I thought, I like streaming. I like streaming because the fact I know at the moment there's 36 people watching, and I know a lot of you, and a lot of us chat through the Facebook group anyway, and a lot of you send me private messages, and obviously you can comment after the video. But I think it would just be better all round for me if I just stop the comments, because yeah, you know what it's like, sometimes you can't unread something and you do get some negative stuff, but very few. Now, I will say I've had some really great supportive messages from 99% of you guys over the last day or two, because you've all been in my predicament and it's not nice. It's a horrible feeling. And those comments have actually really given me a good lift. And sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter who you are in life. Sometimes you just need to ask for a bit of help. I'm feeling a bit low here. I'm struggling here. You know, can people sort of, you know, help me out a little bit? And sometimes we all need a bit of support from time to time. So that was the case. And it really did help me. I read a lot of the comments out to my wife, because it's the first time I've ever actually had tears in my eyes. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't quite sobbing like a baby, but I could just feel myself starting to get to that stage where I was just absolutely gutted, and it's a horrible feeling. So just for the time being, I've disabled the comments, and I'll see if it helps. But as I say, I do like streaming because I know people are watching, and it does. You don't want to do nothing stupid, so it does hold you a little bit more accountable. And I think that helps me. Now, reference the chit chat. This is my process. This is how I think. I like to think out aloud. It works for me. I talk through the problem. Some people will let it go on inside the back of their head and work it out that way. But I like to talk out aloud. Some people just talk out aloud. I think out aloud. And it helps me with the process. As I'm talking through these different scenarios, it helps me hear them a bit more. So let's talk about this first trade anyway. So we got a leg up. We had 2 legs back. And initially I had it like this. Yeah, initially it was like that. So whether you have it like that it touches that, but it was initially like that. So we had a leg down, a break, and another leg. We had a higher low, and I looked at that one, and then we had a failure. So a second entry short triggered, and I thought, I like that. We'll take that long, and I'll come out up here. Now, obviously, market had other ideas. We came out, but we still never come back, and it might stop, and eventually worked up. So what I've done now is it may be like that, and that sort of kind of fits as well. Touch, touch, touch. So it may be like that. I don't know. So this may be a break and a push higher, but as we know, there's a good chance this is going to be a range, so you've got to be careful going along there. So I'm not thinking about going along there. It may well push up, but obviously we've been up here twice. So sometimes market can push up and just trap some longs and all of a sudden tank back down. So I got a bit mixed feelings. So maybe it's like that. We got a touch, 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 touch. Or it could be initially like that. In fact, sometimes you might be better off leaving it as it is. At least people can see your process. In fact, let's leave it like that for now. So we got a touch there. 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 So that confirmed it for me. So we got 1 leg down, a break, another leg. So we got 2 legs down, 2 legs of correction, a higher low. Now, I didn't take that higher low because it looked a little bit congested. But when we had the failure, and it sat exactly the same on there. So we got, in fact, that was a higher low to that. And I thought that's actually not a bad trade. And there's a second entry short, which is triggered. We're clearly moving up at the moment. So I thought I'll take that trade. And I got it. About 1 tick below, and it went up a little bit. Now what I tried to do was come out at these highs. I like to come out around about there before the stem, and I knew there was a good chance we were going to get up this high anyway, so I thought that's a safe bet. Now I did also decide that I was looking back on some of my original videos, and I was averaging $400 to $600 a day on a trade or two. And I've been really struggling to get $100 a day trading the way I have been. Now, you're not always going to get more points. In a scenario like this, you've got this sort of height. So, in all fairness, I could have got a few more points. Let's say I got in about there. I could have got 7 points there, but I ended up getting 3, and I came out just before those highs because I thought it's a sensible way to make it, and 3 points isn't bad at all. So I sat there patiently whether it do this, but I thought just believe in the process, and it never came back there, and eventually it did what I expected it to do. Now there's no reason after that push and a couple of legs down that we shouldn't push a bit higher. I also thought there was a possibility. My thoughts were there may be a measured leg, which again would get us up to this area. So process of elimination, a higher low and a failure got me into that trade. And it's obviously continuing up, and it does look like it's pushing higher, but I've got into trades like this before and they've triggered you and then dropped because we've already been up here twice. That's not to say it's not going to push up. I didn't trade yesterday, but I did have a look at the markets, and obviously we had one hell of a good strong push up. What do we go up? We went up about 90 points from a low, didn't we? What was it? I don't know. So it was about here, 77 points. So we had a really strong, and then we had this initial push, then we had sort of a couple of legs, a push up and another retest, and then it just went up again. There were a few nice trades in the afternoon, if I remember rightly. I mean, once it started to do this, let me just quickly put that there. Once it started to do this, it was just small bars and it just went up and up and up. So, you know, you may have taken, what was the trade I looked at? I think it was that one. There was a high, so there's the first entry, and I think it was that one. One of these, it looked a bit different actually, and it just went straight on up, and then we had a bit of a break, and it went up a bit more, and then it went up a bit more, and we just continued going up, obviously at a slower angle, but there was just no end to it yesterday. So hopefully you guys picked up. Now, you know, there's a second entry long there, maybe a high low. There were some trades yesterday, maybe something like that. But there were some trades. We had a lot of movement. The good thing about a nice trend is sometimes even if you take not a great signal bar, sometimes it still helps you out and gets up. But so I've decided to try and go for a bit more points when it's valid. Now, if we're working in a range like that, of a maximum of 5 points, going for 3 or 4 points is ridiculous. You know, there are times where I might do 2 points or 1.5 points, something like that. But I just was looking at some of my older videos. Now, granted, there were some, when I first started streaming, there were some trades that I don't believe I'd have taken today. But there were some trades where we had a lovely channel down here. We had 2 perfect legs. And there was a trade that I took a lower high and it went down and I took 8 points out of it as opposed to 2. Now, if I take 8 points out of it, yeah, okay, so it's worked all right, that has. So as we've had this break and a push up and a push up again, I think it's more likely that that I probably would sort of favour more that. Touch, break, and a clear push up, but we had a break. Maybe you wouldn't take that, maybe that. Trouble is about that bar, for me, I'd say we're pushing up a new high, but you got no space there, so maybe not have been a trade there, I don't know. I don't know, but I think it's probably more like that. After we've had this initial break and a new high. So yeah, we had leg down, a higher low, and I didn't like that because of the congestion. But then when that triggered and we came down and we had that bullish bar, there was a failed second entry short there, and it was a nice trap, and it went up initially, came back down, and then obviously it worked up. But I didn't want to be greedy. I did consider coming up, but I thought, you know, get myself into it slowly again, take 3 points. So I'm happy with that for the day. But I looked at some of the days I had where initially, and some day I averaged somewhere between about $250, $300 to $1,300. So, you know, if you get trends like this and we get 2 pushes up, clearly 2 legs up and a really lovely bullish bar, it seems, you know, about here, it seems it's a shame to take 2 points when chances are, even to the lows, there's 6 points available. And my plan over the last few months, because it's been tough, my target for a week has been about $500. But to be honest with you, I've struggled to get that because trades have few and far between. So I think if you get a really good setup, like yesterday, if you get a really good setup, you know, let's say you get a lovely second entry long here, and we can clearly see it's a strong day. It seems a shame just to take a measly, I don't know, let's say you took something like that. There's 2 points. It seems a shame to take that when you could literally follow up to every swing, maybe there, something like that, and look at the potential. Even if you went up to that swing, there's 12 points. That's the equivalent of over 2 weeks profit for me. So granted, you are going to lose the odd more, because sometimes if you're going for more points, you're probably going to lose more. But if you're sensible and you judge each trade on its merit, so if we've got a lovely strong trend like that, That's the type of trade, especially when you see this, and maybe, let's say, for instance, that was the second one. When you see something like this, it's a shame really to take 2 points. I think times like this, that's when you need to really capitalise and make your money. So, okay, so let's say I lose an extra 2 or 3 trades in a week, say another 400 or 500 losses. You can make it back easily in one of these types of trades. So as long as the trade is warranted, if we have a lovely second entry short and it's a really strong day, those are the days where I'm going to go for a few more points. But I'm going to judge each trade on its merit. That's why I went for 3 points just to there. And I always kind of like to come out at the body rather than the stem. But in the end, that went up really nice, and it went up to where I thought it would lightly go up. But, but I built up my accounts much quicker last time. Yeah, there was some trades that I probably shouldn't have taken, that I maybe got a bit lucky on. That's fair enough. But yeah, so anyway, 3 points. That's a good start to the day, so that's nice. $300 up. And in all fairness, I've been struggling to get that some days, even on the 4 accounts. So I hope you're not too offended by the comments. But I think what I might do from tomorrow onwards is just have the comments for the first, say, 15 minutes, just to say hello. And then maybe for, the last 10 minutes of the stream, just to say hello to you guys. And obviously you guys, like Sam messaged me just to say you could hear the comments. And we chat on the Facebook group after. And some of you guys message me. So, we can still have our conversations and our chats. But I think it's just a better bet for me that I don't, there's no comments to read. And I think it helps you guys as well focus on your trading, because I know sometimes when I've watched other people's streams and I'm chatting every 5 minutes, I'm probably not focusing on what I'm doing. So we'll keep it like that from now, and then we'll see how we get on. But yeah, I can't figure out how to get it back on now. But from tomorrow, I'll put the comments on just for the first 10 minutes, just to say hello, and then after that, we'll get rid of them. So, what are we looking at today? We did have some news, really, but nothing really happened. It was around about 1:30, 1:15 UK time, which was around this time. You probably wouldn't really even know. There may have been a slightly larger bar or two there, but apart from that. So, we seem to have a leg up, a break, and another leg up. So I could have sat on that, but obviously that first push like that, you want to get out. So I'm pleased with that. It's a nice start for the day. So I think it's feasible that we are going to have a leg and a leg. Now, I'd have probably been looking for trades there. In fact, that one wouldn't have been a bad trade in the sense of it. The trouble is, we've been up here a few times, so it is the possibility that it could just trap you. That something like a higher low there might not have been a bad idea where we break out and we retest it, but we do seem to be starting off, with the exception of the open and then that drop, a break and a new low, just after 10:30 UK time, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30. So 4.5 hours we've been going up. So I think there's a good chance we'll hit that. It's quite a nice tight range, that as well. So let me just make sure I've got it nice and tight so I can spot any overshoots. Okay, so far so good there. So yeah, break, whether you call that a couple of legs. It is a couple of legs, not measured legs, but even so. So that's where I initially had it. And that's what sparked me into that. Sorry, no, my mistake. That's how I initially had it. So I'm going to leave that there initially. Because you can see my workings then, yeah. So we got a leg, a break and a leg, a high low and a failure. And they all sit nicely on that bottom line. So for me, a little bit congested, but I've heard people say you can trade congestion as long as you know what you're doing, and in all fairness, that one looked pretty straightforward to me. Now we did push up, and I think we made initially 1.5 points, so it did scalp. Yeah, you'd have got 1.5 out of that, and then we had to come back, but it did continue up. It didn't come back to there, which tells me there'd have been some stops there. But so far, so good. So, good start to the day. I'm probably going to keep my trading to around about the same time. So, you know, the way I see it, you guys watch me, you see my thought process. Maybe it helps you, maybe your charts compare to mine. So this is helping me because it's keeping me fits really nice. It's really nice there. It's keeping me grounded. I know people are watching that, you know, and I know a lot of you by now, so you don't want to do something stupid. So it does still help me focus and take, you know, good quality trades, because, you know, if you're trading if you're doing your job in front of people, you want to do a good job, don't you? You don't want to do stupid things. So, but from now on, if I take one loss in a day, I walk away for the day. That way, you know, a loss shouldn't be much more than average. I mean, the ATR's been quite high lately, but in all fairness, a tick above, a tick below that, even with fees, that's just under $300. That's doable. That is not going to affect you too much, but two large trades like $700, that just, I was so close to the payments, and I think I had the pressure of thinking I'm going to get some payments this month so I can, you know, invest in a few more PA accounts, but it wasn't to be, was it? But I did have some great messages, and I had messages from people like Nutty Bar, and he lost a lot more than that a couple of weeks ago. So he knows what it's like. Most of you guys have lost accounts. And Wilson as well had a really nice message from Wilson. He's actually a really nice guy, Wilson. Whenever I've had a slight converse with him, slight chat with him, he's really nice, but he just sent me a lovely message. Some people are really good with words. I'm not. I can talk. I can't put things down on paper. But he just sent me a really nice message. And I think he watches from time to time. He did say watches. Because he's had struggles of his own. We all do. So shout out to Wilson for just really giving me a lift. And from all you guys as well, from the messages and the comments. Just, you know, just a little bit of support. Sometimes you need a bit of support. I class you guys as me trading mates. So sometimes you just need a little bit of a pat on the back from your mates, don't you? Cheer up, you know. So that's what happened, and I felt better. I got to say, after it happened, I don't think I felt that physically sick for a long time, but I literally had tears in my eyes when I was sat at my trader desk thinking, how am I going to tell my wife? But luckily, she was really supportive. But it's a horrible feeling when you've worked from, I think, between six and 9 weeks I'd taken to build those accounts, and a bit of stupidity, but if I'd have walked away at the one loss, I wouldn't have had that. I'm pretty sure of it. But that 700, that was about a third of my profits. So it is frustrating. But, you know, that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? When you're learning to trade, it's tough. You feel it, you know. Trading's an emotional business, and when things go wrong, you feel the pain. So my thoughts were, the way I saw this leg up with this break, it's very likely we're going to make a measured move, and I believe we're going to. We know how accurate these are. Having said that, lately, sometimes they just haven't been working as much. But I think this one will. We're getting very close to it now. Another quick spurt of a couple of points, and we'll be there. But same again, a really nice. I like these ranges. Channels, because so many times you mess around with your channels trying to make them fit, but that one, they just don't fit any better than that, really. So unfortunately, no real entries. Penzo, see, I tell you what, I haven't reloaded my historic, so maybe that will show. You may have taken that one, I don't know. One, it's a bit congested, and two, it's right close into there, so it's risky. But if you sort of seeing what's going on, you may think, okay, we've got a couple of legs. I think we're going to move another leg up. And if you know what you're doing, then there's no reason why you can't take something like that. If it may be slightly more risky, but if you can understand what's going on here, look at the move you could have captured. If you just took that and followed every swing, every sort of new swing, that one, you'd be there now, sat with 8 points. In fact, you're probably coming out around about here with 12 points. So if you can understand what's going on, but this is the type of trade that I'm going to get into and try and hold. Now, personally, I wouldn't take that anyway because of the support. We've been up there 3 times, and there is a possibility it could trigger you. It's certainly looking bullish for me, but I've just taken a trade and I'm $300 up. So it's a nice start today. So I don't really want any heroics today. So I'm just going to sit tight and take my time. And if I see a trade, then I'm going to take it. And that's it. But so this is our first break. Are we going to push up higher and touch that? Possibly. We often do. Sometimes when you think it can't go any higher, it often does. You've only got to look at yesterday, really. We had that sort of big old push up, didn't we? A couple of legs, and what happened? It just carried on going. Look at that. And going and going and going. Does make you wonder sometimes, how the hell can it keep going? But often when you think it can't go anymore, it surprises you. So nice channel there, a little bit of a break. We may push up there, but it's close enough for me to not get into that. If we finish down here somewhere with a bit of distance to go, then I may be interested in second entry long, but it depends. If you get a nice break here, perfect second entry long, really nice bullish bar above there, it's something you've just got to do. But good start to the day. Put my stop there, sat in it, and it held. Did come back a bit, and it held, and it did what I expected it to do. Okay, so leg. Let's see what happens here. I mean, if I take a trade here, it's going to have to be a good one. And when I say good one, push below here. Big, strong, bullish bar. Something like that I'm not interested in. Because we could have a leg. And a leg. And then a continuation up. Just thinking whether there is any type of a larger channel moving up there that I may be missing. That actually kind of fits nice. In fact, look at that. You can't argue about that one. That is a beauty. Let's have a look. Okay, touch, perfectly. Touch. I'm really happy with that. So do I want to take a trade here? When I realise it's a 2-tier channel, I'm not a fan of taking trades here because we've literally just come back from there. That can trap you and come back down. I'd rather it pull back down here because I think there's going to be traps around here. It depends how strong the market is or whether it's going to push up and clip that maybe or not. But there is a second entry long, but it's you'd really want that stem below there really before you think about going long. But if you've spotted this bigger channel, then I think it's risky going long there. I think that's a trap personally. Sometimes it'll push up just enough to tease people into thinking we're going up, and all of a sudden it'll turn and it'll take out your stop. But I'd much prefer to take trades. If I'm going to continue long, I want it to come into this tier here. See, some may even trade that as a short, maybe a lower high there, but I'd rather wait for it to come back over to this side and reconfirm this side before I think about going along there. But we'll see. So I still feel a little bit in shock actually after my 4 accounts. I just think what could have been. But you know, you can just only really learn from it. That's all you can do. You can't turn back the time. You've just got to accept what's happened and move on. You know, you're initially going to be shocked. You're going to dwell on it a little bit for a day or two, but at some point you've got to go, well, look, it's happened. There's no point. And the longer you punish yourself, the more time it takes to get back into it. So I feel okay, actually. Start afresh. 4 accounts, it's not a major, you know, if I do another evaluation next week, I'll be halfway there, hopefully. So it's not a major issue. And as I say, people have lost a lot more. I know Wilson lost 20 accounts. God, I can't imagine how he felt. I know the Moo guys lost 20 accounts, so it must be devastating to lose that many accounts. If you've paid $140 per one, that you've paid $2,800 to get those accounts. So I'm kind of glad I only went the 4 or 5 account route, because I don't know whether I'd recover from that much loss. So I think my plan is now just to maybe get one more and just get the 2 up, build them up a bit so they can start getting a bit of money coming in every month, and then slowly build. And I may even separate them 5 at a time, maybe trade 5 one day, 5 the next, or if I can eventually get up to 20, maybe trade 10 and 10. At least that way you've got a fresh set, and you never trade in it all in one go, because if something did happen, you know, if you've got 20 accounts and they're all nice and healthy, and you ended up sadly losing 10, you've still got 10, so you've still got skin in the game. So let's just mark that up. So yeah, from tomorrow, I am going to put the comments on just for the first 5-10 minutes, just to say hello to everybody, and then I'll disable them, because it does affect you. There's no two ways about it, and sometimes you see these comments and you can't undo them. You know, if someone doubts what you're doing, you doubt yourself, even though you're in a trade. There's nothing worse than taking a trade and someone saying, "Oh, I wouldn't do that," or whatever. You don't want to hear stuff like that, and sometimes, you know, you've got conflicting. Someone says this and another person says the opposite, and it's a little bit conflicting. So it's better for me, and hopefully it's better for you guys as well, so you guys can focus a bit more. You guys can focus a bit more on your actual trades as well, so hopefully it'll help all of us. So, still holding at the moment. It may push up there. I did look at this, but really you want that stem down there, but I'm not a fan. When I realised there's a bigger channel, I'm not a fan of taking them. I've got into trades like that before, and it's come down, and I haven't realised there's a bigger channel, and it's come down to this area here. I just don't think that's going to go up before it comes back here a bit, personally. So if you had taken that one, you'd have got 1.25, but no more. I think this is going to drop, take out any longs that took there and there, personally. Leg. I may be wrong. Okay, so leg and a leg. See, that might, if that finishes bullish, it might not be a terrible place to take a trade. It looks like a leg and a leg, but it is a little bit congested, and we are in this top tier. So I tend to stay away from it personally. And also there is a possibility that we could be doing a bit of this. Yeah, we are. So going along at the top here, in my opinion, is a bit risky, but obviously you guys have got to make your own decisions. We've all got to make our own decisions. So ultimately, the buck stops with us. So 1, 2, 3. You could call that a triple test. But I don't have a massive luck with triple test. I took a triple test like this. It was one of my losses the other day, and it went wrong. So sometimes triple tests are a bit more obvious, and other times they're just, it may be 3 times, but it also may just be a bit too congested. I mean, you can't argue that it's tried 3 times to get lower, so that may be the catalyst to push it, but also you've got to accept the fact that it is a little bit congested as well. Triple tests don't always look sideways like that, and I think that's the problem. Someone mentioned that I missed a triple test earlier on in the day, on that day that I blew the accounts, and when I saw a triple test looking very similar but the opposite, I took it. So reading a comment, I may not have taken it. I'm not blaming anyone, there's no names, and it's purely down to me. It was my decision to make. But you know, someone mentioned there was some congestion like this a bit further on. My trade I took down here, and there was 3 touches and it went up. And then there was also something, how can I move that? There was also something down here very similar. We had 3 touches that way and I took it and it stopped me out. Now, whether that was more congested than the one earlier or not, I don't know, maybe. But I think the fact that they were congested, perhaps they were both risky, but one worked, another one didn't, so it's hard to say. Okay, so it looks like we may hit that. So you could have taken that one, but the trouble is you're going into a lot of support there. May work, looks like it has, but it may not. So I think it's risky just going along when you're in this top tier. So if you'd have taken that one, then it would have worked. But in my opinion, I've taken trades like that. They've triggered me and had another leg down here, and a break and a new low, and they've started working back in this tier because I'm quite happy that 1, 2, 3, you know, it's been confirmed 3 times, also 1, 2, 3 times at the top. Just a visual look at it, you can clearly see. You can clearly see it's visually fits as well, because obviously just the fact that it's touching is one element of it, but it's also got to visually look right. I mean, you look at that channel, it visually fits, doesn't it? The same angle. So, I don't know, maybe it's going to be another strong trending day today. It's possible. In fact, it was a little bit more clear. I have still got the 1,000 tick chart above my head. It's a little bit more clear there. We had that break. So we sort of had 2 legs down, and we tested it a few times and then pushed above the EMA. That might not have been a bad trade. A higher low there. I mean, it's a doji, but literally it's about, we've come back down. It's about as high as it can go, but if you took that there, that went for 2.25 points comfortably. So depending on, even if you went out of the highs, you'd have got sort of 1.25 or so. But we've had 2 legs down, and we've tried another couple of times. So that actually might be a better triple test. It doesn't actually look as congested there that it does on the 1,000. So we've got a touch, a touch, and a touch. And then when we push over the higher low, that not, you know, even if you'd have just got out for a 0.9 or something, but it wasn't a terrible trade. But it was a little bit more clear on the 1,000 tick chart. On the 2,000 tick chart, we've had the same 1, 2, 3 touches, but it just looks a bit more congested. So sometimes it's good to look at that 1,000 tick chart, because sometimes the more detail just, you know, makes it a bit clearer. So even if you don't necessarily trade on it, just the extra bars may make it a bit clear. I don't know. So, where are we today? Last day of the month tomorrow. So, as we know, the 50% off evaluations and 50% off for resets finished tomorrow night. I believe it's around about midnight Eastern Standard Time. And we are then coming into Labor Day. Now you guys probably know better than me. I've just got I've got the CME trading holiday schedule in front of me, and it says Labor Day from the 1st to the 5th of September. So I'm assuming Labor Day would be on maybe Monday the 4th. I'm not sure. Friday the 1st. I don't know. That's usually when the holiday is, so I don't know whether it's Labor Day or Labor Day weekend, but it does say it's the 1st to the 4th. So this deal finishes on the 31st, so I dare say Friday, this Friday in a couple of days, the 1st, that is when I expect to have some form of a new discount, and usually Apex do the 90% off, so if they do, I should be picking one up myself. But as you guys know, they've changed mine now. It's just UKFT, so whatever discount's available, it just gets too confusing. UKFT 50, UKFT 80, UKFT 90. It's a pain in the arse, in all fairness. And like last time, it was UKFT 80. That was the code, but you got 90% off, so I've just got them to scrub the actual 80 or 90% and just UKFT. So my code's there down there as usual if you do choose to use it. It's appreciated. So as soon as I get something, I usually knock a quick video out there just to let people know. But with the power of social media now, most of you know pretty quick. So we've had that break, we've had a new high, we've hit that measured leg, which I expected we would do. And have a look. Let's get that accurate. Yeah. I love how accurate these things are. Look at the bodies, 3 bodies. You can't, I mean, we speak about this multiple times, don't we? So the good thing is now we look like we're coming down maybe to retest this and maybe to push higher. So if we can bounce off here and push higher, we may be lucky enough to have a nice trending day again, because obviously yesterday, it's great to have a trend. Sometimes you get a massive move and no entries, but at least we know we're looking for longs. So it just, I know when I started trading currency, what they initially do is find a weak currency against a strong currency, and hey presto, you get a trend. So the trading I was doing would just following trends, just finding a trend, weak currency, strong currency, and then you obviously get either a move up or a move down. So it is easier trading days like this. When you have range days, they're all a bit over the place. Sometimes every time they hit a different place. Half the time, sometimes they'll come down and they'll stop halfway before they push up. So lately, they've been really hard to keep track of. So 1, 2, 3 touches, that fits perfectly for me, and 1, 2, 3 touches on the top edge as well. So I'm happy with that. So let's see what happens here now, whether we push down. We may push down, retest this top, and then maybe hop, skip and jump, and maybe more upwards possible. What time is it? Let's see if we get anything from local market. No, not yet. Okay, channel overshoot. Now that, in my opinion, is where you want an overshoot, because also it's an overshoot and it's retesting these tops. So a lot of the times an overshoot can result in a reversal, and that's the ideal place you want a reversal, really. So overshoot reversal plus a bounce a few times, retesting this top and a push up. So hopefully, in fact, there is a higher low setup on the 1,000 tick chart, which kind of looks nice actually, and that worked. Have a look. Yeah, I'm not a fan of picking bottoms in all fairness, but yeah, I'm not a fan of picking these really. I'd rather wait for them to push above the EMA and then, you know, so I can work out they're continuing up. I sent a message from Mac. I'll pop on the screen actually. I messaged him a couple of days ago. And I just said it on an odd day and I felt a bit low and I just wanted to find out what his process was. How, you know, did he struggle the same? You know, sometimes you just want a word of a lift. I'll pop it on the screen actually. You can have a little look, whether you have a look now or whether you freeze it, but I'll sit there. And that's welcome to the site. Everyone goes through that process. I try to limit those kinds of losses as much as I can by telling people to stick to the simulator until they can double a 10k account trading exactly like they can trade live, and then encourage them to double a 1.5k MES account as micro accounts as well. By doing this, you give yourself more time and experience. In my opinion, much of the problems people are after learning the strategy and understanding really well is simply a lack of screen time and experience. The market has multiple personalities and you have to learn them all over time. It's like playing a piano. Many people can play it, but how many people have the experience and skill to play professionally? But yeah, nice comment. The thing I like about Mac is he must get tons of comments, but look at that. He's taken the time to write me a really nice, you know, stay disciplined, you'll continue to improve. That's what I like about Mac. You know, I've been in other type forums before and sometimes you just get a one-liner and that's it. But he's taken the time to write that. So you can look back on that. I'll take it off now, but you can look back on it. But I just felt a bit down and I just wanted to say, you know, did you go for the same thing and all that? But you know, we all hear that everyone goes through the same thing, but sometimes it's just nice to hear from other people. And sometimes I wish Mac could talk a bit more about his experience, and maybe he will in time. But I've left it there for a minute so now, so you can go back and have a read if you so desire anyway. But it's nice to just get a message from him, and I love the fact that he just he doesn't write a one-liner. He just openly writes how he feels, and I kind of like that. So this to me is starting to look like that's quite a big move, isn't it? That 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 point move literally in less than 15 minutes. So my slight concern for the day now is we're in the range day again. But there you go. Hey ho, I'm up $300, so at least I know I'm going to be going home with money in the bank if I don't take any. So yeah, it may be a range day. We just may have hit a couple of tops, but did work quite nice in that, to be fair. But then we had this. So there is a possibility it was originally. In fact, I'm going to put that back to originally how I had it. So people can see my process in why I took that particular trade. So we had sort of a leg up, then a couple of legs and another leg. So in fact, I'll tell you what, I'll do that, but I'll just fade that out. So you can see the lines, but just I'll put that back in there so you can see, because sometimes people wonder why the hell you took a trade, but you know, a lot of the times you may have adjusted it by then. So let's just put that there. So at least sometimes you get a message saying, why the hell did you take that? And obviously as things change, but yeah, we had a touch there, multiple touches there, which is why I went for that. We had 1, 2 legs down, higher low, failure, and that worked. But so it's trends like this that I like looking for if you can get a really nice second entry short, but it's going to have to be a bloody good one. We're not quite down to these. The trouble is, there is a little bit of congestion there. We've touched it here and here a few times, and we're a tick away from it, so it may not come down. So if you take a short here, it's going to have to be a real classic, perfect looking second entry short. A leg, break a leg. Anything less than that is just too risky. Now, 1,000 tick chart. There is a second entry short, but it's above. I'm just going to drag it in a bit quickly. There is we got the channel down, we got one leg break and another leg, and there is a short there, but it's just no good. It's above the EMA, it hasn't triggered anyway, and it's just too risky, because if it does trigger, sometimes it can just, and it does look like it may just push up through all that, look. So it may have come down low enough to just push higher, it's hard to say. But you just got to be on your guard and be careful not to get stuck into a short too early without a brilliant setup. Looks like we're going to push up about. We've pushed up above the EMA quite strongly on the 1,000 tick chart, and there was a trap. I'm just going to drag that in a bit quickly. You can see there that triggered and pushed up. So there has a couple of trades there that may have got trapped, and we've gone a bit sideways, and then we've pushed up. So we may not come back down. It's still possible, but it may just launch back up, or it could be a leg, and then we may drop and come down. It's hard to say, but there is a few touches here and here, so this just might be a failed breakout. In all fairness, the bottom of the range could be that. Touch, 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 and a tick off. It's possible. I'm going to keep it there for now. And just give it the benefit of the doubt. Just got to be a little bit cautious going short here. because it may trap you and push on up. So, it's like a leg and a break. It is still possible it can come down, but in all fairness, I like that leg, break, leg, bearish bar, really a proper couple of legs. That looks a little bit messy, and it look like we've had a leg with a break, so not something I'm really interested in, I don't think, unless something dramatically changes. Okay, so there is a little channel there, and we have had a break and a new high. Yeah, I feel better after that message from Mac. He's probably heard it 1,000 times, and he's been through it. I think Mac's been trading 27, 28 years, I think, so he's been it, seen it, done it, and bought the t-shirt. But sometimes it's just nice to get a word from the boss, isn't it, if you know what I mean? Sometimes, you know, I'm 54 years old. You know, I've had quite a... you know, I've been around for a few years and I've experienced a few things, but, you know, I like to think I'm relatively stable emotion-wise, but this is a tough business, and sometimes it doesn't matter who you are. Sometimes you just need a few words of support, don't you? It does help you. At the end of the day, you do what you got to do. You know, if you're struggling and you need some help, you want a few, you know, supportive words, you've just got to ask. That's what I like about this business. 99% of people will just help you out and just give you a little bit of lift. And I did put a post on there. I like to talk about how I feel sometimes. You guys know that. Sorry, I'll focus on what I'm doing. Someone's just asked a question that's all about Apex payments. Okay, so we've had a leg, a break, and a leg, a double top. Is this coming down? Possible. It's also possible it could trap some shorts and give you a right good stiff shafting. None of us want that, let's face it. It's about a leg, a break, and a leg. So it is possible it could come down, but I'm just unsure about this, so I'm staying out at the moment. Gotta say, going back 12 months, channels like this just seem to break 2 legs up, beautiful bearish bar, and come straight down. Now they just seem to piss around a lot more before they eventually come down. Anybody else notice that, or is it just me? Normally a channel like that fits so really nice. Now, you could say there's a bit of an overshoot, but I don't think there is. A slight fits. Yeah, I don't think that is. It all fits nice there. But yeah, a lot of times they push up, break, push up again. Nice big bearish bar, 2 clear legs. Even if you wait for the lower high and they just work. But now, so many times when you get a break, sometimes they just go around the bloody planet before they end up going in the direction you were hoping for. So yeah, I'll mention it again just in case anybody doesn't notice, but I have disabled the comments for a while. Not because there's a lot of nasty stuff, but if you're looking at something or you've got your eye on a certain trade and someone mentions it, it can affect how you make your decisions and it can affect your bias. So I just think it's a better plan just to get rid of them from time to time. So you guys can still hear my thought process. Maybe compare your trades to mine or your trends channels to mine. Sometimes if there's 2, it's, they're saying 2 heads are better than 1. So if my trade, channels help you, or then it's all good. But just the fact that you guys are watching, and it just helps keep me a little bit grounded, and I'm not going to do anything stupid. If you've got people watching, you tend to try and do a really nice job. But so far, so good today. I've had one channel. So whether you agree with that or not, initially I had it from here. So we had 1, 2, 3 touches, touched a bunch of times there. We had 1, 2 legs down, leg down, break, new low, higher low, which I didn't take, bit of congestion, and then we had the failure with a trap, second entry short, which triggered and worked. Eventually, it came a bit more of the side before it eventually worked up, but it looked okay, maybe slightly more aggressive, but I kind of liked it, and I was expecting it to get up here, and it did what I expected. So I didn't have really any surprises. The little pullback before we pushed up, I thought after that we may have a little pullback and then push up. But sometimes trades, I see Mac taking trades, marking them a lot of times, and sometimes they'll come back literally to the same level before they push up. But yeah, same. So yeah, after this, it didn't look like it was coming down. So whether it would or not, it's possible, but just messy price action. I don't know whether there's a channel there. Possible. Touch actually works there, so maybe if we push up and come back and test again. Normally you want 3 touches, but sometimes you can, we've only really got 2 touches there, but you can clearly see that works. So whether this does or not, I don't know, so I'll remove it for the time being, but it does look like it may be the start of a channel back up. We've come down pretty low here, so whether you call that the bottom, you certainly could. We've touched here, touched a couple of times here. We're 1 tick off it here. That could just be a failed breakout. In fact, I might just leave that there for now, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a tick away. So that was my process, that I didn't think that it was likely to come down. Sometimes when it's close, people just tend to, if you buy in ranges and you buy the bottoms, you might just buy it from there and think that's close enough. So, but anything's possible. It could still come down. You just don't know. But nothing that interested me in going to a short there. Nothing does. Whether it comes down, it's possible. I don't know. In fact, there is a possibility that there could be a smaller channel there. Now I was thinking a little bit of a break, a little bit of sideways before we pushed up again, but if I put that channel there, in all fairness, that would look more like, let's just get rid of this, that would look more like a bit of an overshoot there, which maybe it comes down. So what I'm probably going to do is just do that for now. If in doubt, just do the smaller stuff and sometimes. So we got a little channel with a break and a new high, so maybe it's coming down, maybe it's going to eventually push up, I got no idea. I think we may be looking at just a bit of sideways here at the moment, possibly, because there's probably a bit of uncertainty what we're doing. I mean, we've been close by a tick, but sometimes we may get a bit lower, so it's hard to know whether we're eventually going to come down or whether we're going to push up. I don't really know at the moment, but touch, 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 touch. So whether you put that like that or like that, it sort of touches about the same time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 if you count that one. So let's just leave it like that for now. Just see what happens. But may not be much of a range, maybe just 1, 2 touches and then we push out. If we push up, fine, but we may, it could start going a little bit of sideways. In all fairness, we've had this push up after we've come down low, but not maybe low enough. And there might be a bit of uncertainty. Okay, are we going up? Are we going down? Or what are we doing? So, as I say, it may just be a couple of taps. You could even say maybe 1, 2, 3 triple tested up, but you wouldn't want to take that bar, I don't think. So, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Yeah, so from tomorrow, if anybody doesn't know or has just joined us, I have disabled the comments for a while. I just find they're affecting me, and I kind of feel clearer without them actually now, because when I'm reading them all the time, I'm probably not focusing. I should have my eyes on the screen, really. I can talk. Fortunately, I've got one of those big gobs that can just carry on with very lack of brain input, and I can still focus on what I'm looking at. And I'm a out loud thinker. So this kind of works for me, but when my eyes are diverting to another screen constantly, and not just that, sometimes you read something, someone might be thinking something different, and it might affect the way, you need to think about what you're doing and concentrate on what, we've all got to do what we believe to do is the right thing. Otherwise, if I listened to everything I read, I'd be having multiple different things. Some people might say it's this, some people might say it's that, and it just, you have mixed feelings then, and there's a bit of uncertainty. So that was the trade I took there. Whether you think it's congested or not, I agree with you that one was, but when we had the failure and that one triggered, I thought that was okay, because we'd had the leg up, one leg down, 2 legs down, a higher low and the failure, and that's the one that got me interested. Might be slightly more on the aggressive side, but it's just, what I was seeing at the time, so we'll see. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break, folks. I'm just going to make a cup of tea. So let's just put that in there. Just going to make a quick cup of tea. It's good to have breaks now and again. Clears your elephant. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. A quick cup of tea and I'll be back. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so yeah, it does look like with the initial push there, I thought actually we may end up having another strong day, but we had this other channel. So whether you think that's a bigger channel or not, I mean, we've touched here. Touch is nice on there, but sometimes even when you get a nice channel, sometimes if it's a range day, it'll just turn down and it won't necessarily have a break and a new high. Or it may come down, go a bit sideways and work up and eventually have a new high. Sometimes I've noticed, you know, a while back you used to have a break, it'd move up pretty quick, but sometimes you may have a couple of legs down, a bit sideways, and eventually it'll make a new high. So it is a bit frustrating. So let's just move that up a bit. So I did have my suspicions we're getting a bit sideways. It's just hard to know after this. See, we got, depending on where you think the bottom is, I've put that there just temporarily because it missed it by one tick, and I thought, okay, so it may they may be treating that as a sort of a makeshift bottom with this as just a failed breakout. So I kept my mind open whether we were going to come down or whether we were going to push up. But so far we've pushed up and we've gone sideways. So whether we'll go up or come down, I'm not sure. I'd say at the moment we are making slightly higher lows like that. So I think it's more likely we're going to push up, a few bounces and then another push up. I think it's more likely it's going to go up than down, but I'm certainly not. I'm not interested in trading that because, in all fairness, I think it'll go up. I think it's more likely, but it obviously could do the opposite. But it does look like it's just ranging at the moment. So after yesterday and a big old push up, we may just be seeing a bit of sideways. We seem to do that. We had a push up, big push up, big push down, and then we had sort of another channel a couple of days ago, just sort of working up, however you want to look at that, working up like this, and then we went sideways a bit, and then we had another day where we were working up, now we're going sideways. So it could be a bit of that, up, bit of sideways, up, bit of sideways, but I will say, since here, when was that, on the 25th, 26th area, we have started just working higher because we had that really strong, we had about a year or so of downward stuff, and then in the daily we broke a channel and we've been going up and up and up and up and up, with the exception of the last couple of weeks maybe. So yeah, if you have just joined us, I have disabled the comments. It just helps me think a bit clearer and hopefully gives you guys time as well. If you type in every 5 minutes, you know, it might help you guys. But it's not in a nasty way. It's just sometimes, you know, if someone thinks it's doing this and you read it, it can affect the way you think and your decision making process. And on the odd occasion, I got into a trade the other day and someone went, "Oh, I'd get out if I was you." You don't want to be reading stuff like that. You know, if you decide to get into a trade, then I think really you need to take responsibility for it and just follow on. And obviously, if you get it wrong, you learn your lesson. But you really want to be making decisions based on what you think and not really what anybody else thinks. So took that trade at 1346. 1346, I'm guessing. It's just alright. Trader buddy of mine. I won't mention his name. I don't know whether he wants it, so he can feel free to plug. Got like 3 views. Sam, I just had a message from Sam at I've gone blank. Hold on a second. Let's have a look. You guys know Sam, don't you? A 5 trader, sorry. I had a mental block then. Just had a message from Sam. Took that trade at 15:46. 46 around about here. So I'm assuming that one, I think. That long, I'm guessing. Maybe a failure. Bounce bar. And that's worked okay, I think. Or was it that one? It can't have been. 46. Okay, so it'd be that one. So maybe that higher low. It is a bit congested. Well, in all fairness, if you take away that, it's just a couple of actually, it's sort of like 2 legs, isn't it? And then push up. The fact that we went a bit higher and came down a bit first is another story. But if you disregard anything to the right, it actually doesn't look really. I mean, I did that. The reason I drew that sideways is because I noticed it was hitting the bottoms there, but I think Sam took that trade and, well, he clearly got his points wherever he went for. Plenty of points in the bank there, but we do see this a lot where we have a leg up and we go sideways at a slight angle. I call it a bull flag. It's just how I know it. I don't know if it's called that or not, I don't know, but you can clearly see it's doing that, can't you? It pushes up and it goes like that, and most of these, and I talk about these all the time, we have a leg up sideways, another leg up, almost like a mirror image, and it's usually when we're making still higher highs and higher lows, higher lows, and eventually it'll pop out the top. So at some point I will start taking some of those. The only bit that's made me think differently is this little bit here, because a lot of the time we'll just get a channel and then we'll go sideways like this, but with that little breakout, I don't know whether that'll affect things, but you know, normally I sort of like it if we get a channel like that, and then sort of, you know, something sort of like that, and then we get something along, well, you know where I'm coming from. Oh, bollocks. Excuse me a second. Why can't I not move this? Oh, shit balls. Hold on a minute. Can I not move? Oh, okay, yeah. You know what I'm saying. That type of thing. We get a push up, a little bit of sideways, at a slight angle upwards, and then that other push down. It's almost like a mirror image, and that's probably what we got. The only bit that made me unsure about that is that little break first before we push up. But maybe, I don't think it is, maybe there is something like that. So in fact that kind of works, and then go sideways before we go up. So I'd expect to maybe get something like that up there. So there's a possibility, but you know what I'm saying. I talk about that all the time. It's just patterns that I see. Whatever you want to call it, it's just a pattern I see all the time, and that's the thing. The more time you sit in front of these charts, you just see these patterns again and again, and eventually, at some point, you're going to ask yourself, well, why don't I trade them? And if you get a decent looking bar, and in that case, I think Sam took that, which in all fairness, the way it's looking there wasn't a bad bar to take. Maybe 2 legs back, visual second entry long, maybe a higher low. It's clearly worked. And not only that, if you're going to get into a trade like that, based on that pattern, maybe it's worth holding on and trying to get a few more points on those. Or maybe even having one contract, just 2 points or 1.5 points, and then the other contract possibly to try and capture that second half of the move. So we've got that push up, a little bit of sideways at an angle, and then there we had the same sort of thing there, push up, a little bit of sideways, another push up, but it does look like it's possibly forming into a channel. So obviously you touch it a couple of times. You'd want a little bit more confirmation, probably up here and then maybe down here before we reach the top, but I think it's, in fact, while I'm looking at it, let's just like that. And then when it's confirmed, I'll change it to a colour. So that's probably a better idea, isn't it? So I'll keep it clear. And then when I think it's confirmed, and it's hit it 3 times. We've only really hit it once there and once there. Then I'll change it and add some colour. So yeah, if you have just joined us, you'll notice a couple of differences. I've only got one PA account here. I had 4 and they were all around 2,200 to 2,400. And I had a loss, quite a large loss. There was a particular bar I took just was quite large and I lost $350. Now, in all fairness, in the 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 9 weeks I've been trading these, I haven't had 2 losses in one day. Well, it doesn't often happen, but I had a second loss of equal size, and that put me down by $700. And I as soon as I had it, I felt that urge come on to try and get it back, and that's one of the worst things you can do. So it's happened. I have to accept it. I've got to move on. I feel better now. A couple of days ago, wife had to remove all the razor blades from the house, but you guys have felt it. But I did talk to a lot of people. I had lots of comments, lots of support. People are, when people find out you're struggling, people are really supportive, and it really does make you feel better. But ultimately, you've either got to make a decision. Do I carry on or do I give up? It crossed my mind for a second. I don't think I can do this anymore. But then after a day, it's gone by and I feel better. You've got to start all over. But you have to learn from it and try and put steps in place for it to not happen again. Now, what I will say is if I lost that big 700 a day, I don't know how I'll react to that. So the simple answer is I can't have that much loss in one day. Now, if I have a small loss, normal one channel loss, one trade loss, I can feel it. None of us like it, especially when you're in a live PA account. But the following day, I feel perfectly fine about it. So I think the trick is limit your losses to one trade a day, which is what I'm doing. So the good thing about you finish trading after one loss, it will give you even more incentive to find a good winning trade, because we want to continue trading. But if I take a poor setup and losing trade, I've now then got to finish for the day and wait till tomorrow. So hopefully it'll give you that incentive to sit and wait for that really quality setup. But yeah, one loss. So at the moment, the ATR is 2.25 points. So you had a tick above it, tick below, you're talking 2.75 points. So there's $275. Most of the time, a loss really, most of the time, shouldn't exceed $300. And someone once told me, never lose more in a day than you can't make it another day. So I've made 300 today. If you lose 300, I can recover. I had a $350 loss on one trade a week and a half ago, and I came back fine. But the $700 just did something a bit different to me. So the simple answer is don't let that happen again. So don't lose too much. So from now on, my new rule, one loss, I finish the day. Well, it depends. If I've only just started trading, what I may do is go on to a demo because it's still useful. There may be a 2-tiered channel up there. Top tier now, bottom tier, that's possible. But just for now, I'm going to treat that. Let's just put that there a minute. So yeah, from now on, one loss, I can walk away and I can recover from that. So you have to learn from it and you have to try and make adjustments. If something is affecting you, and 2 losses in a day is clearly affecting me, and so I have to do something about it. So the simple answer is take it down to 1 loss. That way you walk away. But although it's taken me a while to build those accounts, they are still building. And at some point, the larger those accounts get, you can start to scale your contract side. When you get to maybe 10,000 or 7,500, you may go up to 3 contracts, and obviously 2 points with 3 contracts as opposed to 2. Obviously, it's more profits, 50% more profit. So, but I've also been going for 1.5 to 2 points. Now, if I look back on my earlier trading when I started the stream, yes, I took some slightly more riskier trades that I wouldn't necessarily take that. So obviously I will adjust that accordingly. But I seem to average $400 to $600 a day. I think my lowest day was $220. My highest day was $1,300. So if the market has got scope to push up and make more points, then I am going to sit on a trade. So if we got a leg up here, perfect second entry long. If I was going long there, that might be a channel that is likely to continue higher, and it did. So why take 2 points when we're likely to get another push, when you could potentially just follow up to that swing, that swing, straight away you've guaranteed yourself 7.5 points, and then depending if we're coming up to the top, you may decide to get out here. So you get 10 points in there. You've got the equivalent of five trades in one. That was like a perfect week for me. So if there is scope for it, if we have a leg up, a perfect 2 legs of correction and a higher low, that's the type of trade that I am going to sit on. And that's the type of trade that the penguin guy takes. And in most cases, if we've had a leg up with a 2-legged correction, he'll go for 2 to 1 or 1 to 2, which probably is 6 or 7 points in some cases. So when the market allows it, I will go for more points. In all fairness, if I've trading a failed breakout of a range here, it'd be stupid to go for 6 or 8 points if there's not that much available. So that's slightly differences. So slightly more points if they're available, and following up maybe each individual swing, and then 1 loss a day, I'll walk away, because I know 24 hours after I finish trading, I feel completely recovered. And I know even if with that 750 loss, I'd have been way more positive the following day, but it had such effect on me that I just did something stupid and market turned, and the rest, as they say, is history. So you have to learn from your mistakes. I'd actually felt like I was finally getting somewhere, but one thing I hadn't foreseen, 2 rather large losses in a day just did the damage. So if I can just bring that down to 1 loss a day, then hopefully that should stop that from happening again. So how long I've been trading? Right, I might just do 2 hours today, so I might do another 20 minutes, see what happens. But it's a good start to the day, and sometimes when you get a good start, I got a nice 3 points there. When you get a good start, sometimes it's good to go and finish early, spend some time with the family, and no point in sitting here hour after hour if you're up nicely. So whether this is a 2-tier channel or not, I don't know. Fact. Let's try that like that. Well, that kind of fits. Also as well, if I'm not sure whether a channel is right, I took a trade the other day and I wasn't sure whether the channel was right, and I got out of it, fortunately. But I think really if you're unclear about something, sometimes you're better off just keeping out of it. I've had some conversations over the last couple of days with people who've been having problems with these orders freezing. And there's quite a lot of people. Now, I had a conversation with a guy, and he said to me, now what I do now is if I have an order, let's say I'm interested in an order, I open it down here. That way, if something goes wrong, I've got time, and maybe just check it once or twice just to check it's working, and then if it is, then I'll bring it in and use it. But what I did the other day when it went orange is, as you guys know there, it shows you any orders that are sat pending. If there is something in there, I'm going to right click it and click cancel order. If it doesn't get rid of it, shut down NinjaTrader and reopen it, and it will have gone. That's what I found, and this guy said exactly the same thing. So I've discovered that, and he has. So open, if you do take an order, just open it out the way just in case it goes orange. I still don't know whether it's NinjaTrader, whether it's Arithmic, or whether it's Apex. I don't know. I have spoken to Mark Skelton about it. I did mention to it. Well, first thing he said, have you got rid of cleared your cache? I tend to do that at the end of every day, at the beginning of every day. Now I clear my cache, and he said, well, but I think you might have too many indicators. Well, we use very little indicators. In all fairness, the only indicator I've got is the exponential moving average, and that thing really. The numbers. Apart from that, we don't really use any. So it's not like I've got masses of indicators sat there sucking up space. So. And not only that, it's happening to a lot of people. So unless everybody's all of a sudden started piling on extra indicators, which they won't have done, why is it happening to everybody? So just be aware of it. There is a second entry long on the 1,000 tick chart. I'm not going to take it, but we do seem to be pulling up. You can see it there. We've had a break, one leg down. That's a higher low, but we've got a double top here. So leg. So I'm not sure about this, and I'm kind of liking where I am at the moment. First day back after a nasty loss, and I kind of like that I'm finishing today on a high note. So sometimes you need to grab these moments of feeling good when you're up nicely. So yeah, just be aware of that. So all I'm doing now is opening an order down here out the way, and then moving it a couple of times, checking it's working okay. But if it does freeze, have that account display on there. Right click it and click cancel, and you can also just click close up here, and if it's still frozen, just close down NinjaTrader and reopen it, and every time I've done that, the trade's gone. That's empty, because the last thing you want to do is get stuck into a setup or something. As I know a guy, he put a few comments out there, he lost a couple of $1,000. Something froze and it triggered at some point. Well, I don't quite know the ins and outs, but just be aware. I'm assuming if it's happening to lots of people, whoever fault it is, it will get solved relatively quickly. Otherwise, people will start holding back. So just open them out the way is my advice. Move them a couple of times, check they're working, and then drop them into place. And if they do freeze, click the close or right click and cancel, and then just reboot, and that should clear it. But yeah, as some of you probably noticed if you just joined me, I have stopped the comments because they do affect your bias. But what I am going to do from tomorrow, I'm going to have the comments on initially, just for the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to say hello to everybody. And then we'll disable them then, so I can concentrate without any sort of, without any my bias being affected, and you guys can as well, and hopefully it'll help us all be a bit clearer. And then I may just bring it back in at the end of the day if I can. I can't figure out how to. I can switch them on and off, but I can't. Now they've sort of. If I just drag it in, this is what I'm looking at. You can see them down there. Usually the comments are on the right, but I can't seem to get them back on, so I'll have to play around with that. But I still want to keep chatting with you guys, and some of you still send me messages, and we chat outside, and obviously there's the Facebook group, so I class you lot as my sort of trader buddies, so I still like our chit chats, but I think it's better for us all if we just disable them during our trading time. So, we seem to be having very similar to this, so it is possible we could be having a leg, and a leg would take us up somewhere around about up here. Now, whether that happens is one thing, but it's certainly feasible. We've had a leg down. In all fairness, that looks like one leg, a little bit of a pullback, and another leg, and then up, and then slowly working. So whether that that channel gets adjusted at some point. It's not been confirmed yet, although visually it looks okay, but I'd like to just confirm it again. That one I took there, we touched there, and touched a few times there, so I was quite happy about that. And this larger one also, we touched here, here, and here, and obviously at the tops in 3 places it finishes. So yeah, we could have a push up with a couple of legs, quite a straight channel, but it looks like it's divided, not quite equally, but we've had a push down with a break and a push down, and we've almost bounced off these bottoms, so it is possible that we may be getting another leg up. And the 1,000 tick charts, I'm just gonna, we got this in the 1,000, it probably looks a bit better in the 1,000 tick chart slightly, but that's it in the 1,000 tick chart. Touch, it's working pretty nice there. Visually, I think as well as it touching, it has to look right, and I think it doesn't look too bad, whether you count that and may not quite have reached it there, but I'd like to maybe get a retest of it, maybe a leg down and a leg down before we push up. That's somewhere along the lines I'm thinking of anyway, so whether it comes true or not, who knows. And bearing in mind, it does seem to be, as well as we're having a channel up here, it does seem to be ranging, obviously, push up, down, up. So the bigger picture at the moment is we're ranging, but obviously in the smaller term, it does look like we're doing something more or less identical to that, actually. Pretty close anyway, so leg up, couple of legs down, leg up, it's possible, so. Depending on how you look at this, there was a second entry there, but it's a little bit congested, so you may take that one. In fact, I think that's the one Sam took. Well, now it doesn't look too bad, does it? Because we've had a leg up and it's one leg. It's 2 legs back with a bullish bar. See, initially I had that as possibly a little bit congested, but I'm not necessarily think it is. I mean, if you open it up a bit like that, then actually it's probably not really, is it? But I think Sam took that, and the picture is now that it seemed to be okay. It's not exact second entry to the count, because there's a first entry. Well, there's your new recount, isn't it? So there's your new high, so it's just a first entry, but you can clearly see it's visually, we've got 2 legs, 1 leg, 2 leg, and obviously we expect to retest these highs, and obviously that's exactly what it did. I think Sam had probably been out, knowing him. I think he usually goes for a couple of points, so if he got in there, I don't know, yeah, he may be out there, maybe a 1.5, I don't know, but regardless of that, it came back and it didn't come back, so it worked anyway. And even there, when it came back there, it's still and that one worked also. But in my opinion, it's only really 1 leg, isn't it, there? So I prefer a leg and a leg, and it is maybe a bit congested, but who knows. As I say, you can all look at this. It's amazing how different we all look at these sometimes. You know, you can make one channel look nice, and on someone else's chart, a different type of channel can look equally as nice. So there's a lot of grey area in trading. There's not always one size fits all. You know, because I have had people showing me a channel. I thought my channel looks nice, and I've had people show me a channel and actually it looks nicer. But I've always had the theory that, or the plan that if I think mine look, if someone else recommends something, but I think, I mean, I've even looked at Max, and I've still put I haven't moved mine like his. I've still put it back. Most of the time I do, but I did have a channel which was slightly wider, which there was some questions about during the day, and Mac had slightly different, and in the end Mac ended up moving it later on to how I had my channel. So there's multiple ways of drawing these channels, and as I say, it's not always one size fits all. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Bars can be ever so slightly different, and it can make a difference sometimes. So you have to trade how you believe it to be right, and that's how you learn. If you make a mistake, you learn from it. But the trouble is, if you're taking comments from other traders, you don't know whether they've been doing it, 25 minutes or 25 years. So you really want to be taking your advice from people like Mac and maybe some of your more experienced traders in the groups, people who consistently make money and are doing okay. That's another good source as well. In fact, the first year or so, I put my channels up daily and asked for feedback, and that's how you learn. So this almost looks like that same type of bull flag push-up sideways and up again. So that might not be a terrible trade, but in all fairness, we're bumping into that midline, so I don't really want to be going along into that midline. It may well push up. It's just one of those things, but didn't work anyway. But we do have a push-up and sideways, but that midline is clearly... Depends on how you've drawn this. You may have it slightly different, but I've just gone from here at the moment as a two-tier channel. That midline is clearly holding price, so I don't know whether you have it like that. I don't know, but the fact that it fits quite nice at the top as well, it visually looks okay, that, but it is still... it is early days. Yeah, it still looks okay, actually. I don't mind that channel. It still looks like it's working kind of nice in there. And it's gone sort of with a tick off the top. In fact, you could bring that down a fraction, in all fairness. We'll take that up a bit. Yeah, it visually looks okay to me. But it is a bit congested at the moment, so whether we retest this bottom and push up or I don't know. What time is it? 52. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple of hours today. I think I'm quite happy with my restart or rebirth, if you like. Nice $300 up from that trade there. A little bit congested, but we had that push up and we had two legs back. We had the high low and then the failure, which I like that. Trying to go once, trying to go twice, failed second entry long, which triggered and pushed up. And at the time we were pushing up, so I think there was a failed second entry long and a failed second entry short, and the failed second entry short looked like the more positive one. So I took it and yeah, it worked okay. Market's going slow again. Today is Wednesday, isn't it? Wednesday, yeah. I'm just wondering whether Friday will be a bit quiet because of the Labor Day weekend. And I'm assuming then next week, any traders on holidays you would have thought will be back to work. So hopefully we may get a little bit more volume and hopefully a few more setups. Okay, let's see if we confirm this channel. Leg down, leg down. Okay, we've closed. Well, not closed. We've actually ticked down right on it exactly where it was. So that's a good sign. So hopefully it'll start to push up. But obviously it could just keep coming down. But that's a good sign. Okay, so we've hit that a couple of times and then had some upwards movement. So hopefully it may continue. Just checking sideways that there's no sort of support that we're going to go into or not. Okay, nice sign, nice strong bar right off that key entry point. So that's a good sign. So that channel that looked good has now just been confirmed beautifully. So touch, 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 nicely on the top. It visually looks right. So I'd say that's a good launch place for some more continued up. In fact, there may even be a couple of legs there. So if you take that to that, that would get us up to these highs, with the potential, if we can break above these highs, which is usually possible after initially, market, when it does go up, a lot of times it will break highs, and there is a possibility of a little push higher to a leg, a couple of legs back at another leg. So it does look like that's the launching place. And funnily enough, where we had our makeshift channel, that's exactly where it's bounced. So when you can see these happening, it's okay to put these lines in. I know sometimes you don't want to jump the gun, but obviously just be aware that it hasn't confirmed yet. But I had a sneaking suspicion that it was going to, and it touched just beautifully right there, right where I had that channel already pre-drawn, and then we've pushed up. So that's a good sign. But there is possibly a little bit of congestion up here, so it may take a second to get through, or it may come back a little bit. It may pull back a bit, but we'll see. So, but you can clearly see there is a little bit of congestion there. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So it may take a bit to push that, or sometimes it'll come back a little bit and then push up. But if it can close above there, I think that's okay there. So we've had that leg up. We've had a pull back. Maybe another bounce, and we'll see. So there you go, folks. I think I'm going to knock up the head now. I just said I wanted to do 2 hours today. We're about 30 seconds off the 2 hours. You know what's happened to me over the last couple of days anyway. I just took too much of a loss. So my plans have changed a bit. I'm now just 1 loss a day, and I'm finishing for the day that way, because you all probably know what it's like. If you take a loss when you're on a live PA account, you feel it. It's an uncomfortable feeling. And that has to affect your trading to a degree. Now, on 1 loss, I think I'm not too bad. I've had losses and I've been okay. But fortunately, in the last 6 to 9 weeks, I've had these PA accounts, the ones that I lost. I never had 2 losses in consecutive. So I've never had that little bit of a lump sum. There is a higher low there, but you're going into the highs here, so this always makes it a little bit risky. So it could trigger a bit higher and then come back. But so I think learn from what went wrong. 2 losses in a row, rather large. $700 was just too much for my nerves to cope with at the moment, because I'm getting close to the accounts where I could start to slowly withdraw. So that adds a little bit of pressure on, I suppose. But, you know, it's happened. So I have to put something in place to stop it happening again. Now, you're always going to have losses. There's no way around that. Hopefully, as you improve, the losses will get considerably less. But you have to deal with them. And if you're struggling to deal with 2 losses, the simple answer is bring it down to 1 loss. And hopefully that should be enough. So, and I've also disabled the comments as well, because it is affecting my bias when you read these comments. And I know some people might say, well, why can't we chat? But sometimes people will say stuff about you and it gets in your head a little bit. It's very rare. It doesn't often happen, but it can happen from time to time. Some people, they haven't got a filter, and they just, but it's better for me. It'll help me focus. And I'll continue to stream and chit chat. I like the talking process. It helps me work things out, and I've always been one of those type of people, as I've mentioned many times now, that I like thinking out aloud. It works for me. I can process this by talking about it. Helps me hear clearer. So there you go. So from tomorrow, I'll put the comments on just for the first 5 or 10 minutes, just to have a chit chat with everyone, just to say hello. And then I'll disable them just while we got the trading session. It's better for me, and it's better for you guys to concentrate as well. So there's going to be a failure there by the looks of things. Pushed up, try go low once, try go twice. Some people may have shorted that. A little bit of congestion. Trigger below. I think that's likely to push up there, but it's just too far from the EMA in all fairness. But it does look like we've got a leg, and I think we're going to have another leg. So I'll be surprised if I don't see price up to the top in the next 30, 40, 50 minutes or so. But there you go. But I don't think that was a bad place to trade, because you've clearly then confirmed that. Nice big bullish bar, and obviously that would have made you a few points, 4 points, maybe, no argument. And that short there, people may fade this little bit of a range, and it triggered. And I think, as I mentioned, it's going to stop that out. So there we go. So I expect price to carry on. So that's it for today, folks. I've got to be careful saying I appreciate your comments, but I appreciate your patience. You know, we've all had tough times, and I had my share of them a couple of days ago, as you know, but I'm back to 1p account now. And hopefully in the next couple of coming days, the current offer we got, 50% off resets and 50% off evals finish. If you're using my code for a reset, fair enough, but my honest opinion is don't use my code and don't take a 50% off evaluation, because it's about $75. Wait a couple of days, and I'm pretty certain we're going to have an offer. Whether it's 80%, I'm hoping it's 90% for the weekend. So then that's the best time to get your evaluations, because trading can be costly to learn. So you've got to manage them losses, and the best way to do it is to just take the offers. So if you use my code, or you have done, it is appreciated. Yeah, its price is doing what I expected it to do there. It's pushing up, and maybe a bit of a gap there. So that's it for today. So I'll be back again same time tomorrow on my Soul Peer account, starting a bit of a fresh, having learnt a vital lesson and having some new plans in place to stop that happening again. And then hopefully I can grow as a trader and learn from my mistakes. And hopefully if you see me making stupid mistakes, it might help you not to take them. But yeah, price is going up nice there. So I expect the market to be up here pretty soon. Hit that measured leg, and quite likely here. So I might have a look a bit later. So anybody who's hooked up, I appreciate it. And I'll be back here same time tomorrow, where I'll have the comments open for the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just so we can say hello. And then I'll disable them, because I do feel like I've got a clearer head now. Most of the comments are fine, but some you read and they just stay inside your head a bit. So excuse me a sec. So if you continue to trade, good luck. I hope you get a setup. Failing that, I'll be here just before market opens tomorrow. So have a great evening. Stay safe. Good luck. And I will see you all same time tomorrow. Bye for now.